Hello everyone and welcome back to the Cyclocross Social podcast. Today we're going to be discussing the fourth round of the X2O trophy in Hofstade, and with me here to do that is Issam.
Yes, thank you for having me.
We are cutting straight to the point today, third day of racing in a row. Hofstade back on the calendar after 12 sabbaticals. Issam, I think it was a real addition to the calendar. I mean, I know this course from the archives, from YouTube, some great battles here, a big team duel here, Rabobank versus Spar Select, Telenet. A number of great battles. The course not really the same as it was back then, but I thought a perfect balance between sand and some faster sections. Those were semi-technical but not too difficult. Some easy off cambers, minor elevation. I really like the flow of it, and where in Koksijde I feel maybe in the last couple of years they went for some overkill with the sand and it really just made it draining. Here today the sand skills definitely played a vital role in the outcome because it had this balance and you really needed to be good in the sand. So yeah, I did like this course and I'm glad it's back.
Yeah, same. I mean, when we saw the calendar, this was definitely one of those races you were going to be a bit excited about, that it is back on the calendar, after the headache of seeing how many races they tried to fit in this year in the Christmas period. It was definitely a pleasure to see a race like Hofstade return. And I agree. I think that it really helps when you have like these sand sections, but it is a rather fast race, which basically it just puts more pressure on these sand sections, and they were quite difficult to get through, but it didn't make the race super hard, which I think that is a nice combination. It works. It is a formula that we have been working for many years, and in Hofstade as well, it always brings, if the starting field is good, it always brings great racing and close racing as well at times. So yeah, I enjoyed it thoroughly, and it was a bit of a shame that it was on the Monday, but yeah, I couldn't really complain other than the fact that it was on the Monday, really.
Yeah, and that I was in the office looking on the small screen for most of the race, but I still got the majority of the action, the crux of it. And in the men's race in the beginning, it was quite close. Van der Poel didn't really deliver a statement right from the start. There was a larger leading group, but eventually 20 minutes into the race, just when I flicked it to the big screen, then we had the decisive moment. Van der Poel just tightened the screws, placed a very strong attack. Thibaut Nys really did his best to try and follow. They'd been hyping him up. In Hofstade, everything can be different. He's good. He has the legs. He has the power. But what he didn't have was the sand skills. You could see just a number of mistakes. He needed to accelerate a number of times to try and get back into the wheel. But then in the sand section by the second pit, he ballooned out. He made two mistakes. Van der Poel gone, not seen again. Lead went out to nearly a minute. Nys fell back, and at that moment the decision for second place already fell as well, because Van Aert opened the power. He put out the big engine. His sand skills are still quite good, we have to conclude. Cut through the sand, powered away. Second place for him. Behind, entertaining battle for third. Nys fell back, literally. He had a few tumbles, but then he appeared back again. But at that point, when he appeared, it was Sveik who had already attacked in the sand section by the second pit. He'd overtaken Nieuwenhuis just before, but Sveik didn't have the legs. 3 days in a row, maybe a bit too much for him. He got caught again in the final lap. Nys took the lead again, but lost out in the final stages of the last lap to Niels van der Putten, who had something special left in the tank there to sprint to third place. Yeah, Issam, Van Aert today, kind of what we saw in Antwerp, good. What we speculated, not good enough to follow Van der Poel. We said it in Antwerp, Van Aert, if he didn't puncture there, probably second or third place. He made a strong impression. Today he looked a bit better on this course. You could definitely see the watts. I liked the camera angles, like the drones from the side across the water. You could really get the sense of the speed they were carrying through on a number of times. But in the end, the conclusion is what we've seen so far. Van der Poel, like the last couple of years, untouchable, and Van Aert in decent form, second, but some distance behind.
I think that's the right conclusion. I think that Van Aert showed today that he is in good form, but also confirmed that he is not on the level of Van der Poel yet. But I think that there are some encouraging signs. I think that overall, over the entirety of the race, good pace. He fell back a little bit compared to Van der Poel at the end there, but I don't think that is a bad thing per se. I don't think it's, it's definitely something that he can work on and get better. I think there is room for improvement. He knows that. Technically, it's not the greatest, but it is. I think it's better than we have seen in recent years, in my opinion, and it is something to work with. I think that it is good to see as well that we now see the difference without any big issues and all of that. So that's also, I think, something we can take with us. And Van der Poel today was just superior. Again, he gets a course where he can do his thing, can use his power, can use his skills. He gets through the sand quite well. In the sections in between, he was superior. He gets through the sand quite well, and then he puts you on the pressure, and it's like double the pain, I guess, for any other competitor. And he utilized this course to the maximum.
In Belgium, the speculation is already starting. What can Van Aert do at the World Championships in Ostende? We've sped walked the season to the point where we're already talking Van der Poel into trying to retire. It takes a lot of energy. I feel like we've had these same talks the last number of years, and he signed that extension with Canyon. Canyon and the press release back then made it quite clear that it was 5 more years of riding, also 5 more years of cyclocross. So, sure, there is the possibility that he takes a sabbatical next year, but I can't really see him skip the World Championships in Hoogerheide. I've said it before, at least off record, I'm not sure on record, but 2028 seems like the perfect year for Van der Poel to retire. He finishes it off with potentially 10 world titles in Hoogerheide, his home world championships, last cyclocross race, last spring campaign, then focuses on the Olympics fully, does an extensive mountain bike campaign for LA, tries to become Olympic champion there, has the road race after the mountain bike race there to salvage it, and that then is the end of his career. That to me seems like almost written in the stars, everything perfectly aligned for him, but for now, let's enjoy while he is here, because, man, that lap that he just tightened the screws on nice, Issam, that was just wonderful to see. Van Aert, sure, he was good today. He is a powerful... Van Aert looks like a beast. Strong. Van der Poel looks like almost a ballerina through the sand. Just the contrast in riding style between those two is so noticeable, and just seeing Van der Poel put such an amount of pressure through those line choices on Nice, I mean, I think he rode a good race today. It, to me at least, and I'm curious to see how you think about that, confirms that if he locks in, like if he puts his mind to it, he can ride sand. In Antwerp that wasn't the case. In Merckxplas it was also a mental thing. Today we could see what we know. Thibaut Nys is not the best sand rider, but he is also not horrible. I think the main problem for Nys is that he struggles to be very nimble on his bike. He doesn't really seem to have that ease of floating above the saddle and putting down the power. It just appears to be a little bit too wild. And that today was reflected in a number of crashes. But still, Nys looked good today, and I respect him that despite the odds being stacked against him, he wanted to give it a go against Van der Poel. I mean, I don't really think that Thibaut Nys is going to be able to make a real fist against him in Gavre, but I do think he will try. And that is nice. Is it maybe the smartest? No, probably not. Probably it's the smartest to race like Zweek. Don't care about it. Wait for them to fall back after that massive acceleration, then try and take the momentum. But do I respect it? Do I enjoy it? Yes.
Second is second. What is going to be the difference between second, third, fourth? It is what it is. I think that I commend that in a way. Today was a weird race from Thibaut, and I think the biggest positive from this race was definitely the fact that there were definitely moments where he could have said, okay, it's not going to be it for today. See you guys next race. He got that moment like 2-3 times. But in all those moments, he, for some reason, thought, let's just continue. Let's just try and push on and see where we end up. And I think that was probably for him the important lesson that he can draw from this, that you should not give up. You should just try and push on. And I think that he gave up, in Merckxplas, that was a terrible display, in my opinion. Not really how a champion should behave in a race, I think. It can sometimes not go your way. You should fight. You should continue to push on. And sometimes you're going to have days where your legs are not that great, where you have a section that just doesn't really go your way. But then you still have to, go on. And I think with a race like Antwerp, we said it before, they were the weeks ahead. They were already talking about, Antwerp is not going to be our race. Antwerp is not going to be our race. Well, you're even starting. Because when you get to the race and you're there and it's like, it's not my race really anyways, and the excuses are already, having your excuses ready in a way, there's no point in racing at that point. But yeah, I think that today he had the motivation. It was clear because he was from the start. The moment the opportunity he got, he took it, and he was able to try and hang on as long as possible. Even when Van der Poel was gapping him a little bit on the sand sections, he was then able to get back. Overall today, Nice can be relatively satisfied. Probably should have, gotten that third place. But we didn't see the move, so I want to thank the TV directors again for absolutely sleeping in the last part, the last lap. Just not showing the move whatsoever, and leaving us completely in the dark, showing the start-finish for like 2-3 seconds, and we didn't even know what was going on. So it is what it is. Van der Putten got that third spot and is on a roll. He's getting better and better, and that is also a great sight, because he comes from a period where it wasn't the best, and we were speculating, did he reach his ceiling? But now it seems like he's fighting through the ceiling again, and trying to get on a level that we somewhat expected a little bit more from him. There's just Van der Poel and Van Aert in front of him.
I want to say thank you to absolutely nobody for the TV direction today. No, Again, it's a shame. Okay, maybe you miss it in the live, but at least look for the replay. I would like to see what happened there, but never saw it anywhere or even on the socials or whatever. So that's unfortunately the way it is when you're a cyclocross follower and a cyclocross pundit like we are, and trying to make some conversation about it. So whatever. I think I agree with what you said about the mentality of Nice. He went into Antwerp already thinking, this is not going to be good. We discussed that in the episode. Afterwards he said, it was a total off day. I don't really buy into that. Yeah, it might have been an off day. The legs turned off because his head turned off. That's kind of the way I look at that race. If I read 3-4 interviews during the week with his dad and himself and the team, and it's all, Antwerp is going to be super difficult, that tells me something. That tells me that they're already trying to make the bed for the upcoming disaster, and that is what it was. Sure, he probably didn't have the best legs either, but again, I'm convinced that if he puts his head to it, he can do it in the sand. It was great today that he did, because he kept fighting, he kept coming back, and he had a number of mistakes. Again, he is not the best sand rider, but he was in it, and he could have finished third, but he eventually lost out to people who he would consider more sand specialists. Niels van der Putten, he did beat Zweek, but yeah, I thought that battle was quite interesting for third. Van der Putten got it in the end. Last lap, Van der Putten strikes again. I think he rode a smart race. He was always there, but waited for the final lap like we're used to him. Nieuwenhuis, it was okay, but the lights kind of went out towards the end. He seemed hyperactive in the middle, leading the chase over Zweek. And then Laurens Zweek, I thought he rode a good race. His tactic seems to be this, Issam. Wait for the people to blow up when they try and follow Van Aert and Van der Poel, and immediately after make the move, because that's what he did. He tried to lock up that third place about 35 minutes into the race. As soon as Nice had fallen back, he overtook Nieuwenhuis, who definitely went into the red at that point, just before the sand section, pulled a 5-second gap through the sand section, made it 7 seconds, but then didn't have the legs to continue it to the end today. But it seems to be a very smart tactic, and Zweek is somebody who knows himself so well. He doesn't pull up, and again, I spent yesterday glazing Laurens Zweek through the sand, but I'll do it again today. Whatever. Dude, I can look at Laurens Zweek riding through the sand for days, for hours. Sentence me to 10 years of watching Laurens Zweek through the sand, and I will thank the judge. That move, when he overtook Nieuwenhuis, who was running, he just steers into the loose sand, barely a rut there, overtakes him, doesn't lose any speed, powers away. What are we on about, guys? This is ridiculous sand skill.
One of the best, if not the best, I have seen going through the sand in a while, and it's a gift, and he utilizes that gift. I think today he definitely tried to utilize that opportunity that kind of got there when everyone, or not everyone, but mainly Nice, tried to follow Van der Poel and Van Aert, and kind of found his Waterloo there, and then he had to, he tried to utilize that opportunity, and maybe it was just a day too much for Zweek in terms of the triple header that we kind of got in with sand races, and it was just a bit too much, and he was then not able to get that third spot in the end. And regardless of that, I think that the way he was riding through the sand again today, showcasing that he is the guy. If you talk about sand riding, he's just the guy. If you want to know a thing or two about it, I think Sveik, if he wants to share a secret or two, he is the guy you need to learn from, because it's a pleasure to watch, and he seems to have it figured out completely. Great couple of races from Sveik, delivered in my opinion, despite the fact that today he wasn't able to finish on the podium. I still think that it was a good couple of races that we saw from Sveik. And I have to say that when we were a little bit early in the season, that was not something that I expected. I was hoping for it, but it was at that time hard to see something like this happening, because we were like, oh, he has to come from quite far. But then we saw the signs already, and it was getting better and better, and now he delivered. And there are still some opportunities that are coming his way in the next couple of races, and we have to wait and see how he will do in those. But he can definitely already look at arguably a successful Christmas period, in my opinion.
Let's look at the entire top 10 then. Van der Poel, Van Aert, Van der Putten, Nijs, Zweek and Nieuwenhuis, the top 6. Then Toon Aert 7th ahead of Cameron Mason. Toon van der Bos in 9th with Ryan Kamp completing the top 10. No Michael van Toerenhout here today. I will say that I am getting a little bit worried, Issam, about Lars van der Haar. It seemed to be going so well until Namur. Now a number of bad races to start off the real Christmas period. There might be something that's hampering him. I tried to find interviews about it, but couldn't find any word on him. But I just hope it gets better. I hope he can get that one win somewhere. That even if it's the Mickey Mouse win after the World Championships, I don't give a crap. Like, be it Oostmalle, like winning that in your final race. Nothing is more beautiful than that. So I don't really care what it is, but I just wish Lars van der Haar a tremendous send-off, and it seemed to be going so well. So hopefully there is just this little thing holding him back right now that will be forgotten over Christmas, and that he will be back to finishing in the podiums, or at least in the top 5.
I would like to highlight Mason as well. I think that these were definitely not particularly the races where he would normally excel in, but I think despite the fact that he had to battle through the sand and having that disadvantage in a way, he still showed, in my opinion, some good form. So I'm looking forward for sure to certain courses that will suit him well. Definitely a race like Gavere. That will be something to look forward to if you are a Cameron Mason fan, and hopefully he can then use that form that he already has, and the course that just suits him way better than what we had in Hofstade and Kokzijde, and then who knows what we'll see from Cameron Mason. So, and that is also something that we have to keep in mind. There are definitely a lot of riders that maybe didn't really have their type of race, maybe are peaking towards a later phase in the Christmas period, or at least are eyeing a certain race in the Christmas period, and that is how it kind of is going right now. Some have a real illness, others are just trying to find some rest, and it's all all interests and all looking into what is best for business and what is best for themselves and their own personal interests. And that is something that you somewhat have to take in mind when you see a performance and when you see the off days. That just riders have to make choices, and the choices sometimes are more transparent than at other times, and that is what this period is bringing, I guess.
Let's move to the women's racing then, if we can really call it a race, because it was more like a clinic, a masterclass, a show, a TV series. I don't know what we should call it, but Lucinda Brandt, 11 wins in a row, nobody on her level, powered away super early in the race, never under any threat whatsoever, cut above the rest. Unfortunately, the field didn't go that deep. I spent a lot of time watching that battle for second, Van Anrooy versus Bakker. Bakker having a quite strong day. That was more my impression than Van Anrooy not having a great day. I think for Van Anrooy, because maybe she's been not racing as long this season. She hasn't been racing that much the last few years. This triple header is maybe taking a toll on her a bit, but to me it definitely appeared that Bakker was strong, and what certainly helped for Bakker was the running sections, but ultimately the sand riding skills of Van Anrooy just made that little difference at the end, and she went away to take second ahead of Bakker, and then a big gap behind where we watched for a little bit a battle between Brouwers and Verdonschot. From that, my observation was that it was funny that they were, the Belgian broadcast, they have this microphone always in which they listen to what the coaches shout, and they were shouting to Verdonschot that she should copy the lines of Brouwers, which was interesting because for years Verdonschot was named as the best sand rider in the field, and well, she's going to retire at the end of the year, unfortunately, which we discussed as well because she underwent surgery. So it was nice to see her in the top 5, but we'll discuss that more later. Those were kind of my general thoughts on a race in which we mainly watched a demonstration. Issam, Lucinda Brandt on top, getting a well-deserved rest day tomorrow. It's unstoppable for now, and that continues. 11 wins in a row, is that correct? Or is it... Yeah, I think it's 11 wins in a row since the European Championships, which she lost. She's won all the races.
I lost count. I mean, it's she's on an incredible streak, and overall is just showcasing all the improvements that she had been going through in her career overall, and now the sand is also no longer a huge issue for someone like Brandt. And yeah, as you said, it was a clinic today. There was not... I was a bit sad when I also saw that Alvarado gave a forfait and was not able to race, and then you just kind of know that it's going to be even... I was kind of hoping that maybe Van Anrooy would be in the mix, but that was also not really going to be... It just wasn't meant to be. And Brandt was just way better again, and yeah, found her rhythm and made sure that she brought the victory home, and as she has done already for so many times this season. And it's heading towards an incredible season for Brandt. You know, it's an incredible season. That's the word. I don't really need to add that much to that. And you know, for the battle for second, I think what helped, and it was also said in the post-race interview by Bakker herself, was the running from Van Anrooy. She was able to put Bakker under pressure. I think that Bakker through the sand was not... Maybe Van Anrooy was the more natural going through the sand, but Bakker was definitely not terrible. So it was nice to see that Bakker had a good day, and we have to wait and see what that will mean for the coming races in the coming weeks. But I think definitely for Bakker, it's a good race for the morale, because you just, you kind of need at least one race in this Christmas period where you can say, oh, that was a good one, I had a good feeling, a good result. And especially with the starting field like we had today, it's just, if you're not getting on the podium here, you're never going to get on the podium in a way. So, yeah, I think that is also just something that you have to look at, and don't take any credit away, especially if you are the rider yourself, like Bakker. You should now not think like, okay, there are some riders missing and all that, and think negatively. You are on the podium. You made it on the podium. You're battling actually for second. You just came a little short there with Van Anrooy, who growing and growing in this season and is getting better and better. And we're almost starting to kind of look into where is that ceiling for Van Anrooy. So yeah, I think it was a boring race, but there were some positives left and right, and it is what it is.
What I did like to see today was that there were quite a lot of fans out quite early already. Already the junior racing, there were quite large fields, or at least, well, starting fields are large for all the races, but quite large crowds lining up, and that's been different in some Belgian races. I'm looking at you, Koppenberg Cross, but they were here and they were well behaved during the women's race. During the men's race, not as much. Somebody emptied his vape in the face of Mathieu van der Poel. I already hate vapes, and yeah, I don't really see the need to vape in the face of Van der Poel. Hopefully there was no salbutamol or something in there, because then we all know how it can end with a lot of hair on your head. But back to the women's race. Yeah, Brand, incredible season. I just counted the wins. It's 9 in a row, not 11, but we might be heading towards 11 in a row in the very near future. Gavre, good course for her. Dendermonde, another good course for her. Probably not going to do Loonhout. Well, actually, she might, because she is taking the X2O trophy quite seriously. Okay, I think she will do Loonhout. I half forgot that it was back in the series. She's probably not going to do Diegem because she doesn't have the contract with the Super Prestige for this season. It is sad because the X2O trophy is meaningless on the women's side. Brand leads by 9 minutes over Bakker. Van der Heijden, third, 10 minutes behind. Van Alphen, fourth at 12 minutes. It's not that good. Shirin van Anrooy has raced one race in the X2O trophy, and she is 10th in the series. So make of that what you want, X2O trophy, and don't at the end of the season come to me with the stuff like, oh, the X2O trophy didn't work for once. It's becoming a bit of a continuous trend, although on the men's side for now it is still fairly close, with Nieuwhuis 40 seconds ahead of Mason, Nijs, who won't do the series, and then Van der Put at 127. So we'll see where that heads, but the battle for second is Van Anrooy getting it. I don't really have much more to say than I already did in the last 2 days. It's really good what she's showing. But Bakker then, I think she needs a lot more of this, because in the beginning of the season we discussed Brand. She is a good rider. She is on top, but behind it is quite open. And you need to take those opportunities if you're Manon Bakker, because you need to show yourself that you are worthy of a contract, because else they might move to other riders, younger riders, riders that have shown more progression. And Bakker didn't really do that this season. 2 seasons ago, she was in a similar position. Then she won the World Cup in Val di Sole, which was quite a lifesaver. But other than that, she had a number of podiums in races like this. She had a large number of top 5, top 6 finishes. This year, it's been not that good since she came back from the US. This is her best result. Sardinia was alright with a 6th place. But other than that, it's been a lot of fighting for 8th, 9th place, maybe 7th, but it's just not been that good. So she needs more of this, is my take, to get that contract extension.
I think that she definitely needs to do more if she wants a contract extension, but if she is able to have just like 1 or 2 more of these kind of results, I think you make your life easier, even if you're not getting that contract extension. I'm not saying that she will not find any difficulty in finding a new team, but I don't think it will be. It will definitely make your life a little bit easier. But I totally agree. I think that this season has been underwhelming. Basically, her first result that is really finally we have seen a little bit of existence of Bakker more at the front. And she has to now repeat that a couple of times. And there are probably going to be some opportunities where she can do that, because in this Christmas period there are just going to be opportunities left and right, because of illness, because of riders not racing. It just opens it up a little bit, and you have to make use of that. And at the end of it, no one is really going to look at, but there were not that many starters, and it's at the end, it's the results that really count, and this is a podium, and you take that with you, and it is what it is. So yeah, I think that she needs to do more of this, or even better. And when she does that, I think that then they can maybe also, think at Crelan Corendon that it is worth of retaining her and not look for talent, because the talent is there. And they have to make room at some point. The Roodhoofd cannot hire 90% of the, I don't know how many percent they already have from the top 20 riders. But they cannot retain everyone. So they have to make decisions. And you're going to make their decision a little bit easier when the results are not there. So she has to try and make that decision as hard as possible. And these are the kind of results that will do that.
Let's look at the entire top 10 then. Brand, Van Anrooy, Bakker, Dutch podium. 2 Belgians behind, Verdonschot and Brouwers. Garibaldi in 6th, ahead of Lien Burquier in 7th. Katarina Hladikova in 8th, ahead of Laurine Durafou and Puk Langenbarg in 10th. Some names here that we don't mention too often in the top 10 of televised Belgian crosses. Definitely the Christmas period taking a toll, and many riders skipping this race in the X2O trophy. I've heard from numerous sources that part of that is also due to the start money in these races, that it's very hard. The story that was very prominent a few years ago is still the case for a lot of riders. They don't really get any start money for these races because everything goes to Van Aert, Van der Poel, Thibaut Nys. That's where the money goes. So then there's no fee. Then they decide to prioritize the World Cup where they get more prize money. They decide to go to other races where there is starting money. And ultimately what also just plays a role other than that is just World Cup, more important, more points, important for the World Championships lineup. This, not that important. So it is where we are right now. This is what we see here, and it gives us the opportunity to discuss some other riders. I want to discuss here the battle for fourth place a bit, for Donschot getting it in the end. Very sad that she is retiring. I will echo that once more. It was interesting, like I said, that she was told to follow the lines of Julie Brouwers, and that brought me to one point which I've made before, but not yet this season. Julie Brouwers is the proof that you can build talent in Belgium even if your rider doesn't have the biggest engine on the women's side. I don't want to hear any of this bullshit from Jurgen Mettepenning about his riders and that he's not able to find good Belgian women. Julie Brouwers is literally the product of years and years of training work by Bart Wellens. Her skills are great, and sand crosses are the perfect example of that. Power-wise, she doesn't stand out. But when it comes to just delivering, executing, not making mistakes at race speed, Brouwers is one of the best. In the sand, she is also one of the best. And that shows here. That's the work that's gone in. Take, for instance, also in the junior women's race. I didn't discuss that yesterday in Kokzijde, but Zita Peters had a really good ride, finishing 5th. She won in Antwerp. She's been training for a number of years with Ellen van Looy, Tom de Kort and Lichtaert. She races for the Akro development team. She too doesn't really have the engine to compete in a number of the World Cups that we saw. But when it comes to stand riding, when it comes to the skills, she is already taking the benefits from the same structure that the Belgian men enjoy. And that shows in her technical skills. It is possible. Brouwers one example, Peters another, and for Donschot, of course, her sand skills speak for itself. Although, once again, it made me very sad, at least, to see her ride around, just knowing that this is a very sad way to end her career after that incredible amount of resilience she had 2 years ago when she returned to the world's best with a great finish in Tabor at the World Championships.
And I think that it was good to see that she was, able to ride a little bit more up front, use that sand skill in a way, and eventually getting the better of Brouwers, which you pointed out very well. Is, with Brouwers, it's so I would maybe compare it a little bit like if I would try and attempt to cook and it's terrible, and then my mom comes in and she's what I'm doing, and then she tries to fix it with some spices and all that, and then I eat it. I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. I think that she's a product of someone that, as Bart Wellens said during the race itself, during the race coverage, and he got the opportunity to talk about it, and he was talking about Brouwers not being really a winner, not being someone that was seen as a huge talent, but through development is growing and getting better and better. And sure, it's not gonna be for the podiums, but there are gonna be some races where you have a starting field that is as thin as this or even thinner. And I think that what you see on the men's side a lot is that if you are on a level that Brouwers is, they often get more support, they often get more chances, and they will get the attention in a way. And on the women's side, it's a bit less the case. It's getting better, but it is sort of a development that is continuing on, and it will get better eventually. But it's still a little down compared to what it is on the men's side, and it is what it is in a way. I think that if you have a starting field like this on the women's side in another race outside of Belgium, maybe it would hurt the spectators' numbers a little bit more. For sure, you had the Turbocross as well in the at night, so that played a role maybe as well a little bit in the numbers. But the men's side always gets a little bit more attention, and it's the numbers. I mean, 17,000 or something were attendees were there at the race, so that's just incredible numbers overall. But yeah, for Donschot, it's a sad story, but that is also a decision that you have to make if you're not feeling comfortable, if you're feeling that you're betraying your body in a way, and it's not, you're just feeling that you're not on the level that you should be on. It's sometimes maybe better to give up, and she has really tried. It's not that it is a first time and then it goes against you and you quit. She has really tried, and at one point you have to make the difficult decision, and she will I think she will join the army, or at least she will be doing the recruitment training and all that. So after the career, and I think that is also there is also some that she's going to serve in another way, and that is also important. People have to do that as well. So there is more to it than cyclocross in life. So I think that is also maybe the way you have to look at it, and maybe see it a little bit more on the bright side.
If the bright side is that Laura Verdonschot is keeping me safe from the Russians, I will definitely take it. But from the rest of the top 10, I do have one name maybe that I would like to still briefly mention before we conclude. Lien Burquier, holy blast from the past. I mean, what a talent that was a number of years ago. I mean, world champion mountain bike as a junior. Next year she doubles it up. First year U23 mountain bike world champion. Tremendous potential in cyclocross. Became French elite champion as a first year U23. Fourth at the world championships in Fayetteville. She has been on the podium of the European Championships under 23 in cyclocross. She's been in the top 10 of World Cup. She's been way the hell up there on a variety of courses. I remember when we were in Benidorm together, that was actually there. You were only there. She also did very, very well there. And then things just went horribly wrong for her health-wise. Number of injuries and things setting her back. And then, I mean, okay, the course today, the starting field, everything factors in here, but I guess I'm just happy to see her out there again having some fun. Also, the end of the mountain biking season was quite good for her. She's with Trinity now. That's just my main takeaway, that some riders, like, the linear development and progression doesn't exist, and that you're good in the youth doesn't mean anything. Careers can take very different trajectories, and Burquier and Verdonschot certainly have experienced their fair share of bad luck throughout their career. So I thought that was just a worthy similarity between those two to discuss today. And with that, Issam, I think we're going to wrap it up for Hofstade. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
We will be back tomorrow, Zolder, the end of the first quadruple header, and after that, Christmas. So thanks everyone for listening, and see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.